right, looks like we're live. Thanks for coming in. We're going to talk Champions League football for the week of, I guess, the first week of December. Happy December. Can't believe we got here. I feel like it's been 10 years and it's only been like 6.5 months. Anyway, so we start with Shakhtar Donetsk hosting Real Madrid. Real Madrid lost to Alaves this weekend, and probably were deserved losers. Fell behind 1-0 early on a penalty. I think we're behind 2-0 before getting a goal back pretty late. I think for value's sake, I was then rooting for Real Madrid to somehow steal a draw. But Alaves deserved it. They've been playing really, really well, which, I mean, isn't the biggest negative for Real Madrid, besides the fact that they're playing without some of their best players. And really struggling. And I think rumors are starting to swirl about Zidane's job security, which is hilarious because they just won the Liga last year. And we're in a pretty negative spot before we kind of turned it around last time as well. Shakhtar, so they won the first meeting at Madrid, and it was with a rotated side due to COVID. So they definitely should have some belief that they can do it. Both are in the fighting for to try to advance, which would be crazy if Shakhtar somehow got through in a group with giants from three of the biggest leagues in international football. So that'd be incredible. Looking at the line, though, Shakhtar catching 1.5 goals in Ukraine. Real Madrid, not sure if they'll have Ramos back, who wasn't in the team last week. So I guess not. Also Benzema as well. They've been starting a striker no one's ever really heard of, and goals are a problem for them. So winning by 2 seems like a lot to ask. Certainly leaning the Shakhtar way. Going to have to study up on what that team looks like, as I know they want to possess the ball. That's what they did last year in the Europa League, and hung pretty well with Inter Milan, I think, in the semifinal before eventually 1 goal led to 2 and then got really ugly late. But yeah, catching 1.5 goals, got to be the side that you consider here. I don't know who's laying this type of price with Real Madrid. They're betting a ton of money in the money line, and that's just going to end up forcing up the handicap. But so long story short, spent 2.5 minutes on it. Definitely lean the Shakhtar way. Just see if you really can have the stones to play it and hope that they lose by a goal. Though it's a good possibility they could escape with a draw or maybe even pull off another win, since they've already done it once with a weaker side, and they'll probably start tomorrow. The other early one is Lokomotiv Moscow against Red Bull Salzburg. So this was a pretty big line the first time they played. Backed Lokomotiv because I knew their international players from the Russian team, and didn't really know much about Salzburg. I've learned a lot about Szoboszlai. Probably didn't pronounce that right. Hungarian young player who's, I think, already on his way to Red Bull Leipzig. But he's been great and seems to be their goal scorer. Given a goal on the road at Moscow doesn't make a lot of sense to me, considering they've struggled to really do much offensively. There's a lot of safety in that +1. I'm not sure I want to lose that. It might be one of those lines that I actually would lock in sooner to make sure that I don't lose that full goal of insurance. Not sure about what lineups are going to look like, and I know Lokomotiv has been struggling in Russian play, but it hasn't really carried over to Champions League. They've done really well, covered the last 2 matches against Atletico Madrid, I think, drawing them both. Could see a draw here, maybe a 1-goal loss. Doesn't seem like it's going to get ugly because they played pretty good defense, and they got to be concerned about trying to get 3rd place. I mean, they're also, granted, they could still advance here, so they might be looking for a late goal, but that's probably not something that'll happen that'll overextend them. And I'm pretty sure 3rd place berth into the Europa League would be a nice thing for that team for adding extra money and more resources. So could see them defend again. They've done it pretty well so far. If they do try to extend and score some goals, that's where their defense might have some trouble. But the Croatian center back, Chorluka, has been so good from World Cup play to now. Hard to really argue against backing them getting a full goal. And that's probably where I'll be tomorrow, or at least some of my money will be. Next is Liverpool hosting Ajax. Surprised to see Liverpool only giving 3/4 a goal, though they've obviously had such bad injury problems. It seemed to have somewhat stabilized their back line, returning Fabinho. He's an important part to them. And Ajax, they've been crushing teams in the Eredivisie, but can you really trust the competition level there? PSV Eindhoven's not even doing very well in Europa League, so it might just be that they're the juggernaut in that league. And Liverpool giving 3/4 a goal seems kind of short. I thought it'd be bigger than that. I'm not a favorites player, so that won't be on my card, but certainly not looking at Ajax. Porto then hosts Manchester City. Pretty big number was what I expected, actually, for Man City to lay here, even though they've kind of struggled in the Premier League until they ran into Burnley this weekend, who they basically throttle every time they play. That's what happens. They did it with a rotated side and the Carabao EFL Cup earlier this season, did it again. So that might just be the team that works for them. Porto was expected to be the second team to advance in this group. They've done nothing really to change that mindset. Marseille's been pretty bad, hasn't really put up any sort of fight. Olympiacos is the other team that's potentially in it, but lost a close one to Man City last week. So this looks like it's kind of it's not in the bag. It's not clinched yet by any means, but Porto seems to be the team that's going to emerge here, and they need to make sure that if they get a point here, they're probably in really good position considering what they have left to try to get through. Man City, who knows? Maybe this means since it's so low that they're starting a rotated lineup. The problem with that is that their offense is so strong that even if they start backups, they're still likely to score a couple goals. City's defense, though, is a question, and so if they're rotating some starters back there, that might be where there might be some interest in the Porto side. Not sure you want to take them less than a goal, though you'd only lose half if they lose by a single goal based on the handicap. Currently, it's also plus money, so it might close +1. Some interest there from the Porto side. I think they spent a fair amount of money on their team this year. Pepe's been hurt, so I got to check his status. But Porto are nothing, likely nothing, but some interest there depending on kind of how lineups look and really who's playing and kind of what the scenarios are. But ultimately, Porto taking a big loss would not be good for them, for their chances to advance. So they're going to do their best to try to keep that from happening. Next, one of the bigger ones is Borussia Mönchengladbach hosting Inter. Inter played well this weekend based on the result. They got a little bit of help early in the match and then kind of coasted from there. Conte's having big problems. Not sure if he'll stick around based on how he's performed so far this season. Gladbach, they rested some players this weekend against Schalke. Pretty good time to play Schalke right before a really big match where a draw, I believe, would get them through. That makes me think that they're not going to take that many chances and maybe might have even practiced that against Schalke, sitting back. They still had a lot of possession against Schalke, but it's almost like they use it as a practice match to get ready for this one. Hard to practice for Romelu Lukaku, who's awesome and is really hard to defend and is just bigger and faster than everybody. So good luck stopping him. Gladbach does have some big center backs. We'll see about Elvedi's status, as I know he's injured or sat out this weekend, which might have been a maintenance thing, but also has an injury to deal with. The Gladbach front line, though, is pretty good. And on a counter, they looked really good this weekend against Schalke. Take that for what it's worth. But that was something we felt the whole time, or at least I felt that way about Gladbach, is they can definitely score with anybody. Certainly questions in goal with Sommer, who thinks he's an outfield player and clearly is not, and makes some big mistakes. And that would be a big problem here, as they're only catching a quarter. But a draw is enough to win half a wager right now. Inter and the need factor generally brings about a bunch of money in this sport, it seems to me. Also, the best teams in the league seem to always catch money, or best teams in the world. So certainly looking to see what Gladbach puts out there for a lineup. I'm sure it'll be as strong as it can be, as they want to try to clinch moving on. It'll be the first time in their history, I believe, moving on to Champions League. So this is a really big match for them. Makes sense that they rested some players against Schalke, but you wouldn't have known it based on the final score. Inter has some trouble. They have to win this match, should be pushing forward, and that might leave their back line exposed a little. It hasn't had as much trouble as I think a lot of people would complain about. Inter Milan, they just seem to not have been able to score enough to kind of support their team based on their talents, and I think have underperformed in that area. Defense has been okay. I don't think it's been a really like a great they've been incredible type of shouting point for the supporters, but Gladbach catching a quarter is really interesting to me here, as I think they're better than a lot of people think. They've been catching some decent point spreads at home in the Champions League play, which just tells me I think that a lot of people are continually disrespecting the Bundesliga, maybe because defenses aren't as good there. But I think this is one of them where their defense is okay, and they're going to be focused on it, and that might be enough to get them a point, get them through, and ultimately win a wager. Or maybe if they win the match, they got enough power on their counterattack that they can certainly score with anybody. Then next we have Atlanta hosting Midtjylland, giving 2 goals. Probably should be a blowout. See how many Atlanta can score, what time they score. That ultimately decides the point spread here. Not a lot to go into there, as I'm not backing a Danish team that's clearly fighting way above its weight. Atleti hosting Bayern. Was really surprised by this line, but Bayern's probably through and playing a rotated side. I know that Neuer and Lewandowski did not make the traveling lineup for this match. Also, they're playing Leipzig this weekend, so that's a big match. Certainly eyes set kind of away from this one, but ultimately looking at the lineup, we got to see what they're starting, because I'm not really sure there are a bunch of backups that they can play. They're too strong of a team. They're too talented. They're too good. And catching a half goal is incredible, even if they're playing me and you, basically, wherever you are watching this. Not sure I could put it on net right now, but we'll see. Anyway, so if Bayern's playing guys you never heard of, then that's something you got to take with a pause, especially because Atleti does need this win to make sure that they advance. But ultimately might have a little bit of a letdown after a couple weeks ago of beating Barcelona for the first time. Didn't really do very well against Loko Moscow, and then we'll see what happens. But giving a half goal to Bayern München, I mean, anyone who's not paying attention doesn't know that the lineup's not going to be strong is betting Bayern here. So maybe this moves a little bit. But ultimately, if Bayern is starting maybe their reserve team, but ultimately within their top 23, that might be enough to play and take a half goal here and hope for the best, because you have to lose to lose your bet. We'll always be in it, and who knows what's going to happen, but that's probably enough on that one. Last one for Tuesday is Marseille hosting Olympiacos. Already addressed Marseille and their struggle so far. Giving a quarter is interesting. That was the reverse line the first time they played. Marseille didn't have many chances, but were 0-0 until, I think, stoppage time. Bad mistake trying to draw a foul and then going down, leaving one man less to defend, crossing the box, goal for Olympiacos. And that was a big win for them, which I think is a big deal for kind of how this group has gone. Certainly the team that has a hope here. I mean, I guess everybody has a hope to a certain point until you're eliminated. But Olympiacos, I think, is a side you want to look at. Catching a quarter, it's pretty juiced right now, so that might end up falling to a pick. And then you're going to have to win to get a victory. Then again, draw, get your money back. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Some entertainment for 2 hours for free, essentially. But certainly would look at the Olympiacos side. They still got to believe. Not sure Marseille does. And Marseille might be even looking ahead to their weekend matches, because I think they realize they're pretty much done and dusted in this campaign. Then again, it's a big deal for that club, and I'm sure they're going to fight as far as they can. So we'll see what happens, but certainly a lean to Olympiacos tomorrow as well. Then we move to Wednesday. Early match is Krasnodar hosting Rennes. Rennes been awful trying to play both Ligue 1 or Ligue 1 and Champions League. Nothing's gone well for them. Camavinga returned. That hasn't really spurred much. They played Chelsea pretty tight last match, but it wasn't enough, giving up a late goal to Giroud. And that's a big problem. I think that they're going to have to try to figure out what to do here, where the Russian side's going to defend. Krasnodar, I don't think is that great, but clearly are getting some respect at a pick'em in a much lower league than the French league. Granted, how different are they? I'm not sure. Not a lot here. Certainly would look at Krasnodar if they were underdogged, or maybe even Rennes if they were dogged, if it's something moves, but it's likely settles pick. And I think we'll all be focused on the other match going on, which is Leipzig hosting Başakşehir. Istanbul really struggled their last match against Manchester United. Goalie gave away just one of the easier goals possible. Just didn't play well and found themselves behind pretty early. Got a goal back on a great free kick, and then gave up a late goal to screw anyone who bet them, who was hoping for half a loss, myself included. Very disappointing. But Leipzig hasn't really been clicking, unfortunately. They had a tough one, came back from one down to tie 1-1. And Frankfurt last weekend didn't play very well. Had a 2-0 lead, missed a penalty, trying to get Sorloth on the board for his first goal in the Bundesliga, and then gave up a goal to Bielefeld, who hasn't scored like at all in this Bundesliga season, and then had to hold on and kind of were going to the corner and looked a little bit shaken, held on for the win, got what they needed, and maybe that doesn't have a lingering effect. But giving a goal in a quarter on the road in Turkey is an interesting thing here, especially with Bayern Munich this weekend. They want to advance. I think they're going to play as much as they can with their guys this weekend, but also this week as well. So it's going to be a tough week for them. They did some resting, but also played most of their guys, did a lot of substituting. So maybe played a half this weekend for most of their studs. I think there are some problems in their defense right now. So certainly looking the Başakşehir way, who I think probably believe that they still have a shot to move on as well. It's a pretty wide open group right now, which is great, and what's what we want in Champions League. Getting a goal in a quarter is interesting. Leipzig, they've had a lot of possession lately and haven't done much with it. That probably happens again here today. On a counter, they'll be lethal, but I'm hoping if you're betting Başakşehir, you're hoping that they're not going to leave themselves exposed, and you're hoping for the keeper not to just drop the ball right into the path of an attacker, essentially. So some concern there, but getting a goal in a quarter, you got to look the Turkey way. Then in the nightcaps, I think one of the better and maybe a group decider is Sevilla hosting Chelsea. A little bit surprised to see Sevilla at Pickham. I thought they might be even catching a little bit from Chelsea, who took a 0-0 this weekend against Tottenham, but both managers seem somewhat happy with that, which is funny because Chelsea ended up closing a half goal favorite. So the market wouldn't have been happy with that, but Frank Lampard certainly seemed like he was. 0-0 the first match, not really many chances either way. Chelsea wasn't playing as well then. Sevilla, they have not been playing great though. They've been winning some matches, kind of not in a deserved fashion. When they do dominate, they struggle to score, and then they've been losing other games other matches that they shouldn't. Chelsea's playing a lot better. At Pickham, no interest in backing Sevilla here. Probably wouldn't play Chelsea on the road either, unless there's some sort of plus a quarter here. It likely closes Pickham, and it's a good watch. I'm holding a Sevilla to win the group ticket. Still alive, still would be even if they lost today. Well, actually, it probably would not be if they lost this week, this midweek. It probably would lose here. So Sevilla, because they would lose the tiebreakers because it's head-to-head rather than goal differentials. There's no way to overcome that. So pretty much Sevilla can't lose if they want to win the group. Does that matter as much? Because both, I think, are advanced, have already moved along. So ultimately, they're playing to win the group. Sevilla might be looking a little bit more towards La Liga play, as they've not been playing well, though. So just a lot of things here that you don't really want with Sevilla, where Chelsea's getting healthier. They're gelling more. Every match helps in that degree. Their defense seems to have been playing really well. They never seem to give up any goals. So certainly not backing Sevilla to score here. And if they're only a Pickham, that's a draw at 0-0. So not worth it. Move along, but certainly rooting for Sevilla. Try to somehow steal one if they can. Dortmund hosting Lazio off a really bad loss at home to Köln this weekend, who hadn't beaten anybody in forever, just a few weeks shorter than Schalke. Really scratch your head about that. Lazio with a loss to Udinese, who's starting to play a little bit better. Still isn't good either. So both teams leaking oil here. Hard to really say that you like either one, but Lazio catching a full goal is a lot. Dortmund's defense has been pretty good. Was not good on set pieces, or specifically corner kicks this weekend. They still have a lot of attacking talent, but seem to kind of struggle to put the ball in the net when Gio Reyna's not in the lineup. He sat this weekend, came in as a late sub. I imagine he starts for this one, as I think they still need to win this match to I don't think it would even secure them moving along, but it may. Group's not that hard, but they should be doing a lot better. And seeing him giving a full goal away, though a juiced goal at that, if you're looking at the Lazio side, is interesting. Lazio's been kind of living on a prayer with some late goals that haven't really impressed, but I think ultimately you got to look at Lazio's side here based on how Dortmund's been struggling, even behind to Hertha Berlin before 4 goals from Holland. Just not a lot to like there, so no interest in that side whatsoever. Bruges hosting Zenit is interesting. I don't think Bruges is in a better league than Zenit in Russia, Bruges in Belgium. Giving a quarter of a goal seems like a lot to Zenit. Certainly don't know too much about Zenit, though I believe they're leading the Russian Premier League right now. Certainly looking that way, but have to do a lot more digging, as I can't say they're on my normal every weekend watch list. Juve hosting Dynamo Kiev. Giving a goal and a half seems a little short, but who knows who they're playing. Still plenty of depth in that team, though, so I wouldn't want the Kiev side. Same sort of thing goes for Barcelona hosting Ferencvaros. Visiting Ferencvaros. Given a goal and a quarter seems a little short. Plenty of defensive injuries now with PK gone and others. Probably some resting here as well, but not really sure anyone wants to bet back Ferencvaros. Though they did have a lead on Juve last week, if I'm not mistaken. So it might be a little bit closer for Mets than you think, especially with a rotated lineup. I don't know how you back Ferencvaros unless it's a very rotated Barcelona lineup that's not playing anybody. Their backups are still probably way better. And then next is Manchester United hosting PSG. Now, Man U won on the road at PSG in Paris, kind of in impressive fashion. Looked like they kind of controlled that match off a pretty poor start to EPL league play. Then they've kind of been doing a little better. Had a miracle comeback win this weekend. Really incredible what Cavani did. Don't know if he's facing any suspension. There were some rumors of that because he tweeted something that probably wasn't appropriate. But catching a quarter right now at home against PSG is interesting because PSG, they're better than everyone in France. They somehow struggle they're in the lead, but they don't really look like impressive. Tuchel doesn't seem very smart. I'm not sure Ole's great either, but he seems to be the better of the two managers. And United, they're not pretty, but they have really talented players, and they seem to they excel in a counterattack situation. If PSG is overextended, which they may be here, because that's the way they play, they have great offensive attacking weapons, and that's what they want to do is go out there and win. That's what they're expected to do. That's why they spend so much money on their players. United, I think, has been gelling a little bit. They've been getting to know each other better, playing a lot better recently, getting the results, whether they're deserved or not. And catching a quarter at home is just really interesting because I think it draws a fairly likely result here. I'm not sure that it would help either too much in getting along and moving through to the group stage. A draw is probably what Leipzig's rooting for right now. But ultimately, because then if they beat United in the next round, maybe that'd be enough to get through. I have to just study that even further. No point in speculating while I'm live on camera. But definitely lean the United way. Not a huge United fan. Haven't been very impressed by how they've played. They've been sneaking their way through and getting some lucky bounces. But I guess you create your own luck in a certain way. PSG, meanwhile, drawing with Bordeaux this weekend, giving up 2 goals to an empty offense like Bordeaux is really surprising. It just makes me wonder about how much they care about those games. So that's hard to say, but it's also not the easiest thing just to turn on for a Champions League game because Manchester United stands are around you or whatever. Because I don't think there will be any fans. TBD on that one, but that would be an interesting addition, considering they're going to be allowed for Premier League games. So we'll have to see that. But I guess, based on virus numbers and rates, I don't think there'll be any home fans for United or any Manchester town, whatever teams can host any fans. So probably no fans allowed for that one. So going to operate with that idea. But looking at a quarter right now is interesting. It's pretty juiced. So let's see what happens. And these are 2 of the most bet teams in their leagues playing against each other. So who knows where the market will be. Ultimately, it'd probably be the smartest market between these teams that there will be out there. So it might go nowhere from here, but getting a quarter, certainly interested. And so to recap my futures, I got Sevilla to win the group, likely need to win tomorrow or to at least avoid a loss to have a chance. We'll likely need some help in that scenario. Any goal that they allow is going to lose them the tiebreaker if they don't lose. So they're going to have to be really smart and be very careful defensively for anything. Then Atalanta to win the group, big win last week over Liverpool, helped out, but they're going to need some help, and that seems like it's dead. Also, Leipzig to win the whole competition. They're going to need to win tomorrow this week against Istanbul, Başakşehir, and they're probably going to need some craziness to happen in that United PSG game. We'll see what happens. They still have it in their hands. If they keep winning, I think that'll be enough to advance. That's really all I'm looking for. But really excited for this week. Champions League's awesome. It's really great to have good teams playing against each other rather than the Manchester Cities just demolishing the Burnleys every week. So thanks for joining. Hope that this is somewhat helpful. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Good luck if you have any Steelers or Ravens in your fantasy lineups. I have no idea how that's going to go. Anyways, have a good time. Good luck. Adios.